Hello again and welcome to Seedtime and Harvest, where we're sharing exciting tips on how to grow food wherever you are. And so Jose, last time we were here, we looked at herbs.
That's right.
Now, what are some herbs that we focused on the last time we were here?
Well, last time we were talking about three herbs in particular. They were the aloe, the basil, and the oregano. And we looked at the biblical principle of the leaves being for healing and for medicine.
Right.
And so we're going to also continue with that train of thought today in this presentation.
Right. And so for today, we're going to talk more about on some very beneficial herbs that are easy to find in your local nursery, and they're easy to grow from seeds. And now the first one that we want to look at is cilantro.
Yes, but before you go there, now I want to look at another principle in the same line.
Right.
And that is, if we look at the screen here, it says we're going to be growing simple herbs
that heal.
For healing. Simple herbs. Now, listen to this. There are simple herbs that can be used for the recovery of the sick, whose effect upon the system is very different from that of those drugs that poison the blood and endanger life.
Yes.
Now, these are simple herbs.
Right.
So it's not something that we are not common to. And so that's what we're going to look at. We're going to look at herbs that we may be using already, but we just don't know the benefits
so
that
now
are there.
The herbs that we're using on a day-to-day basis for
Right,
culinary
right.
purpose, we need to figure out, okay, how can I use the same herbs for healing for our bodies?
Right, education. Education
Yes.
is key.
And while you mentioned that, a very common herb that's used, as you mentioned before, is cilantro.
That's right.
Many people use cilantro. It has a unique taste and a very distinct smell that makes everything taste good, even salads. And so cilantro is one of those herbs that can be easily grown from seeds, or you can purchase your plant and transplant it into a bigger pot.
Right.
So tell us some more about cilantro.
Well, along with cilantro, also I want to just talk about the fact that when you're growing herbs, that your patience is going to be tried.
Yes.
Because herbs take a while when you're growing them by seeds. So this is a character developing plant that you're growing.
Garden is character development.
That's right.
It takes patience.
Because I remember when we planted the herbs and we were waiting and waiting, we're like, I wonder if they're even going to grow. And finally they came up. And then they started to blossom after that,
because
or take off.
Once you start your herbs, then it's all about controlling after that.
Right.
But it takes a while, but then it's so productive, you're like, okay, now I'm going in storage mode. And so cilantro, like many other herbs, they love full sun, right?
Right.
And they need well-drained, moist soil. And so now, is this an ideal? We see here, we have some cilantro plants. We have 7 plants in here. Now, is this a ideal container to grow that many cilantro?
No, it would not be. You want to have a wide and deep pot. And this is the mistake that a lot of people make when they're growing herbs, is that they think because they're not that big, then you don't need that much space for their roots, for the pots. And so they'll use small pots, and then they'll find out that they're drying up.
Right.
And as much as they're watering, they're not able to maintain the moisture that the plant wants.
Yes.
So this would not be ideal.
Okay.
We would want something bigger.
A little bigger, perhaps an 18 wide by 12 or 10 deep.
Exactly.
To be ideal.
Exactly.
Okay, and we're going to show you how we would transplant our cilantro. But before we go into that, we want to make sure that you know that cilantro is a cold weather crop. And now we're entering into the summertime. So what we'll do with our cilantro plant is, of course, we'll bring it inside or we'll keep it in a shaded location. However, some people may grow cilantro now specifically for the seed. And why is that?
Well, the coriander seed is used in replacing your
cinnamon.
Your cinnamon. Thank you.
Yes.
And this is cinnamon is a stimulant, so we don't use it in our foods. We use instead coriander.
Yes.
And so this is why we use the coriander seed.
Yes. So the cilantro seed is actually coriander. And many people may not be aware of that. So you can save your cilantro seeds and use that seed for a cinnamon replacement, right? Okay, and let's show them how we will transplant our cilantro. And like anything else, continual pruning of your plant would make it more productive. because, you know, as the time gets warmer, your cilantro will bolt. And you can purchase slow bolting varieties, but it does not tolerate heat very well. So you want to keep it in a cool location, whether in your home or if you have a shade house, you can put that in your shade house as well. All right, and here we have our soil ready for our cilantro plant. And you can see why this pot is not ideal for your cilantro, because you can see all that root development. It has so much root growing out, it needs more space for your plant to be more productive. All right, so you're just gonna tickle the roots to let them know that they're free, and we're gonna fill in this pot with some soil. Of course, when you transplant anything, you wanna make sure that your soil is moist. And so thank God for the rain that we had yesterday, so our soil is already wet. So we'll just go ahead and fill this in. Now, about storing, Jose, while we're doing this, how would we store our cilantro?
Well, cilantro, unlike some of the other herbs, when you dehydrate it, it will lose its flavor and you won't smell it.
Right, that distinct smell.
So for you to keep that flavor of that cilantro, I would recommend that you actually would freeze it. Okay. And also vacuum seal to prevent the freeze burn.
Right. Another thing that we've tried in the past, which works really well, is if you get your cilantro leaves, you can use a ice tray. You can break up your cilantro leaves and you put it in an ice tray and you add a little olive oil or grapeseed oil, and you can freeze that just as is. And when you need to use your cilantro for cooking, you can just pop out an ice and ice from the tray, and you can use that in your dishes because you'll have that cilantro already preserved in its fresh state.
Right. And one more thing I want to mention when we talk about growing, if we look at our slide here, we see that you can grow them from seeds like we mentioned. They require full sun, well-drained soil, and also when you're watering, you do not want to wet the leaves.
Right.
Because they are susceptible to powdery mildew, and that is a fungus that grows on these herbs. So you want to avoid that. You want to actually, when you water it, you want to water around the pot.
Yes.
And now that we actually transplant it, you can smell it even more.
You can smell it even more. And so, Jose, we're talking about herbs that heal. How can I use, what are some of the things that I can use this particular herb for?
Yes, let's look over to our next slide. And the thing that we learned about cilantro that is very beneficial is that it actually pulls the heavy metals from the body. So it'll actually break up the bonds between your cells and the heavy metals in the body.
And now we're in the age of aluminum, so everything you purchase either is wrapped in aluminum or has been in contact with some form of aluminum.
And in fact, you remember when we got tested?
Yes, we had very
all
high.
Of us, every one of our family members was high in aluminum.
In aluminum, yes.
And we didn't know about cilantro at that time.
So now we use cilantro. You can use it in your salad. You can even put it in a drink. You can cook with it however you would prefer. Cilantro is very beneficial for removing toxic metals from your body.
Would you like to go down and mention to us what it's good for?
Also, it's high in vitamin A, K, and C, potassium and manganese, promotes heart health, promotes normal blood sugar, supports restful sleep, encourages fungal balance, encourages brain health, digestive, bone, and high health support. So here we see cilantro is a very beneficial herb for you, and one that can be easily found in your garden center and be easily started from seeds. So I want to encourage you to plant some cilantro so that you can get the most out of your benefit, the most benefit out of this herb. And with that in mind, we already talked about if you dehydrate your cilantro, you're going to lose some of its benefits.
Also, Charisse, you want to remember that you want to be successively planting this. Why?
Because the cilantro, of course, is going to bolt as the summer progresses. So we want to have that constant supply of cilantro. And so every 2 or 3 weeks, we would start our cilantro seeds. And here we have our packet with our organic cilantro. And you have cilantro and culantro. So it depends on where you're from. You may like either variety.
And so whenever you're doing this, you want to make sure that your soil is well watered. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And also, we want to make sure that we have a steady amount of cilantro. And this is our coriander.
The coriander.
This we can use as seasoning to replace
The
our
cinnamon. So it may
cinnamon.
come in a powdered form, or you can actually purchase it in a seed format. And so the cilantro seeds for the plant is actually encased in that, it's like a shell. So if you want to get the best chance for your cilantro to grow, you want to actually slightly break the shell. Try not to damage the shell, or try not to damage the seed when you slightly squish the shell for your seed to sprout and germinate better.
So that's what I'm doing now. I'm doing a slight squeeze on it.
Yes.
And also I'm putting it in about a 1/4 inch into the ground, not too deep. And like we mentioned before, this is something that will not sprout right away. You will be waiting a little bit for it. So
in
you
about
will
2 weeks,
need
you
patience.
should start seeing your
So that's why
cilantro.
you want to make sure while you already have your cilantro that is grown, you want to also plant some more. So that's what successive gardening is about. You're not waiting to run out to plant more.
Right.
You're planting.
So you always
and you're
have a
planning
consistent
ahead.
supply.
And so just like we saw, this is where the cilantro was. We want to replace that now that we have transplanted it.
Right. It's wonderful. And with that in mind for cilantro, we're going to move to the next herb. So let's talk about mint.
Cerise, can I just mention something
Oh,
real quick?
okay.
You know, some of us may not have a vacuum seal.
Okay.
And I want to just show a neat, quick trick to vacuum seal by yourself. So what you would do is you would close up a Ziploc bag and use a straw
I'm gonna come
at the
over a
corner.
little, so make sure everyone can see it.
So you close it up, and then what you would do is you would suck out the air. Just like that. And then you have your own little vacuum seal. And now you can put this in the freezer to prevent freezer burn, as well as put it in the fridge to store it longer in the fridge.
Right.
Just a neat little trick we wanted to show you.
And you can do that with all the herbs that you purchase from the store. So that
all your greens.
All your greens, because of course they will start going bad within a couple of days if you don't harvest them right away. So that's something that's very interesting you share there.
Right.
And so let's look at mint. There are many different varieties of mint. You have your chocolate mint, your peppermint, your
Right.
spearmint, and multiple varieties. And each of them have a unique scent that sets them apart. Smell that one. Just if you bruise the leaf a little bit, and then smell your finger.
It smells very good.
Okay.
It smells like bubble gum.
Okay,
Or not bubble gum, but chewing gum.
try that one. Use your other finger and try that one. Can you tell the difference between, can you tell what type of mint they are?
That one was not as strong for some reason. Maybe I squeezed the other one. Yeah, I like the spearmint.
This
better.
is a spearmint, and this
Oh.
is a peppermint.
Are you sure?
Yes, this is a peppermint, and that's a spearmint. So these are two different varieties of mint that is very beneficial. Many people use peppermint for wide varieties of reasons, and these are hardy perennials. So when you plant these once, you'll enjoy them forever. Now with mint, Jose, how easy it is to, or how would you contain your mint?
Well, actually, mint grows very wild. And so you want to be able to, if you're going to put it in the ground, I would even suggest not to actually put it in a pot.
Yes.
Because it'll take over wherever you put it.
Yes.
And so I would recommend that if you want to put it in the ground, that you get like a large pot, and then keep it in that pot and put it in the ground.
Like something like what we have over here. Did
Right.
you want to bring this over? Here we have two different type of mints planted in this container. We have, this is a spearmint, Spearmint right here. This is another variety of spearmint. And this is a chocolate mint. And you can smell these again, because these actually smell different from those two, even though this one is the same type of spearmint.
Okay.
Let's smell that one.
For sure, I smell minty on all of them.
So they smell minty, but they have a unique, each has its unique smell.
Yes.
And so
yes.
with mint, here we have 2 plants, and you can see how productive they are.
You almost want to start chewing them when you smell
Yes,
them.
and this one we planted, I think we started this pot this year. I think it was in February that we started this mint, and you can see how much growth there is on it. And this
we
one,
didn't really even allow it to grow because we were just keeping it on the side.
yes, and it just started growing. And here, this one was laying in the dirt, and we actually picked off a piece of it earlier. We stuck it in the pot because it was just laying on the grass, and it started sending down root. So even when you put it in a pot, you still want to make sure that it's high enough off the ground, because what's going to happen is the runners are going to go underground, and then you'll have mint everywhere.
Yeah, these are hard to contain. If you're not cutting them, pruning them, and using
Yes,
them,
yes.
it'll just keep taking over. So
Yes.
we recommend that if you are growing it, use it. Use some tea. I mean, this is very tasty.
Yes, you can actually get bags, bags that you can, sealable tea bags, and you can make your own peppermint tea, and you
Right.
can store them that way, and you can even cook with them. And mints are very beneficial. Now, you want to plant them, if you want to put them in the ground, say for instance you have an area that's open, and you want to seclude that area to have a nice ground cover, mint would be ideal. Because it's beautiful,
Right.
it smells good, and you can use it for many different reasons. And it's its own pest control. So mint is excellent. And while, like your other perennials, mint would prefer partial shade, and it's a perennial, of course, rich, well-drained soil, but it likes its root to be kept moist. This one, thankfully for the rain, we have a good water supply in here, but they like water. Your mints love water, and wherever there's water, they're going to grow there. And we would divide our mint every 2 years to contain it. Now, how else, aside from seeds, how else would you start a mint plant?
Mint plants are probably the easiest to grow when you transplant them. And what you can do is you can actually just snip off a piece, like you said. You can put it in water.
Yes.
You can put it in soil. And so these are very easy to catch. They will
Yes.
catch very easily. And they, like we mentioned, they grow very rapidly.
Yes, because remember we have an ackee tree, and we had, this
Right.
mint was taken out of that pot actually.
Right.
Because
It was taken over that
It was
pot.
taken over, and it was all, it was a
I mean, it
big-
was looking very nice.
Yes.
But then we were wondering, I wonder if it's choking out that ackee
and
tree.
it sure was.
And it sure was. We looked, and the roots was all the way down into the
Down,
bottom of the pot. And so we took it out. And the more we dug, the more roots we found.
Yes, and now our ackee tree is looking a lot better because we were able to remove the mint from it. So what are some of the benefits of growing mint?
Mint, if we look at our next slide, it has antimicrobial and antibacterial properties.
Okay.
And so because of its minty flavor and the fact that it's antibacterial and antimicrobial, it is great for toothpaste and mouthwash.
Right.
And it will kill off the gingivitis, which is the cause of bad breath.
Yes, so before you brush your teeth in the morning, you could chew on some mint, right? Or in the evening, and that will help get rid of the bacteria that's found in the mouth.
That's right.
Right. And what are some of the other benefits?
Also, the mint is antioxidant, anti-cancer. It improves digestion. So it would be great in a tea.
Okay.
And that's why we mentioned tea earlier.
For peppermint. Peppermint tea is excellent
Right,
for digestive
right.
problems.
It's also a boost respiratory health, optimizes hormonal balance, relieves stress, it increases circulation, strengthens the immune system.
Okay. And some people may be allergic to mint.
Right,
of
so
course
make
you wanna
sure
make
if you are,
Yes,
that
make
you
sure you're
be
not
careful.
allergic
Be careful.
before you use this.
All right.
Oh, wonderful.
So our next, do we have anything else?
Well, the final thing we want to talk about is thyme. And with this thyme, we'll just make mention of this particular biodegradable pot. Because
Right.
now we're in the age where, people
Let me see this.
are planting more in biodegradable pot, thinking that, okay, I'm just going to put this in my soil, and it's going to break down, and then my mint is going to take off. Well, like peppermint, like mint, I'm sorry, thyme, you have many different varieties of thyme, and they grow similar. Most of your herbs grow similar. Of course, this one is easy to catch because as you look at this plant, you'll find it has a lot of roots going down. So this is just going to spread and it's going to take off, but not in this pot.
So a lot of people think that because it's a biodegradable pot, that all you have to do is just simply put that biodegradable pot into the ground and you're good to go. Is that true?
Not so. Well, let's open this pot to see what we have inside. Here we have a large root system that's very much entangled, and we don't see this root coming out of this pot anytime soon. Of course, it's going to break down, but the pot itself is keeping your roots from expanding. And so we will find that in the past when we planted things in this pot, they died because the roots weren't getting a chance to go out, search out new territory and get more nutrients, because it was, you know, the young roots are not able to push through this.
So even though this pot breaks down,
yeah, it will, but not fast enough.
It will not break down to the point where the roots will be able to break through it. And so it's a little misleading when you plant in these biodegradable pots, because you would think that you just put them in the ground, they would break down.
No,
but then you'll find that your plants are dying and wonder why. I wonder what I did wrong. Well, you didn't break the pot open to allow the roots to expand.
If even some parts of the pot, you can break it through so that your roots will be able to strengthen and go out. But if you just put it directly in the ground as is, your plants may die. They may die, especially for mint.
So this right here, this biodegradable...
that's good for compost.
It's good for compost,
yes,
correct.
You can put it in your compost, but to put it directly in the soil with your plants, that's a no. And so here, because look at that root. It has a wonderful, there is very little dirt here. This is all root.
It wanted to break through so bad.
Yes, and this is a lemon thyme. This is a lemon thyme, and we're just going to fill it. Even this container, it won't stay in here for very long because, of course, it's going to need space to grow. And your thyme are also hardy perennials. They're used widely in many dishes, but it's best to use it fresh. You can use it as a tea. It enjoys full sun. You can cook with it. There's so many things you can do with thyme and so many varieties. And I'll tell you, the more variety you have, the more flavorful your dishes will be. Now, does our thyme love full sun? Does it love partial shade?
Yes.
Where would we put this plant?
Yes, we most of our herbs are hardy, and just like the rest of the hardy ones, this one enjoys a cool weather. But unlike the cilantro, which doesn't like the full sun, likes partial shade, this one likes full sun.
Yes.
And also you want to remember to keep the roots moist as well on this one as well.
Or thyme likes, or pH, very much alkaline. And you can find many different pH testers. Here we have moisture and light pH tester. But we have another simple tester here, which is a rapid test. It tests the pH of our soil.
Now, we haven't talked about pH before, so
no.
That's something new.
Yes.
Why would you even care for pH? What is that?
Well, to get optimal development of your plants, you want to make sure everything is balanced. You want to make sure you give it the right moisture, you give it the right soil. And so we're going to test our pH to make sure that the soil condition is necessary.
Some of them like a alkalinic soil. Some of them like acidic soil.
Like
some of them slightly acidic, some of them slightly alkaline.
Right.
And so it's good to know. And the reason why you want the soil to be what it desires is because it makes it easier for the plant and the root to absorb the nutrients that are in the soil.
Exactly.
That's why you want your pH to be the way that the plant likes it.
Okay. And so we're going to just put our pH tester here. Just turn it. You want to make sure that your soil is moist before you test the pH, and make sure all that moisture goes along.
What did you learn about this tester? If you turn it on first, what happens?
Well, when you turn it on, the pH is neutral at 7. So you want to make sure that you put it in the soil and then turn it on to get the accurate reading. And here we have our pH for this plot is 6.5. So in order to get it to a 7, we can add some dolomite lime
Yes.
or some hydrated lime or calcic limestone to be able to neutralize or alkalize our soil to give it that pH that it's needed. But a 6.5 is good for a time, although 7 would be ideal. So we'll just balance that out when we are about to transplant. And so is there anything else? What are some of the health benefits of thyme?
Well, I just wanted to show what it would look like.
So it's powder. This is just a white powder, limestone crushed.
Perhaps I could put
in.
some in here.
Well, you don't have
also.
to mix it in with the entire soil at the bottom, or when you put it on top, you want to water it well so that the lime goes directly down to where the roots are. All right?
So we could push it in there like that.
Some of the medicinal benefits of thyme: it's a good antiseptic, antifungal, antiparasitic. It also lowers blood pressure, helps reduce coughing, boosts immunity. It's a good disinfectant. And again, most of your herbs are natural pest control. So I want to encourage you, go out, get some herbs, add to your garden so that you can have healing right at your fingertip.
Right, not only for food, but also for medicine.
And so happy planting, everyone.
Happy planting.